My name is Emily Parker, and I will never forget the morning my hands trembled as I opened my banking app, tears streaming down my face, because it was a moment that changed my understanding of responsibility, loss, and resilience. I had always prided myself on being organized and careful with my finances, a skill I inherited from my parents, who taught me the value of saving, budgeting, and planning for emergencies. But over the past few months, a series of unexpected events had left me stretched thin. Medical bills for my mother, repairs on my aging car, and the mounting costs of living in the city where I worked tirelessly every day. That morning, I woke up early, coffee in hand, intending to check my account balance before starting my day, as I did every morning. But the moment I unlocked my phone and saw the numbers displayed on the screen, my stomach dropped. The balance was far lower than I had expected, almost depleted, and I couldn't immediately figure out why. My heart raced, and my hands shook as I scrolled through the transaction history, desperately trying to pinpoint where all the money had gone. There were charges I didn't recognize, withdrawals I didn't recall making, and suddenly I was consumed by panic and fear. My first thought was that I had been hacked, that someone had stolen everything I had worked for, and that my future, the small security I had built for myself, had vanished overnight. I sat down on the edge of my bed, clutching my phone, and tears began to stream down my face, hot and unstoppable. I called my bank immediately, speaking to a representative who reassured me that we could trace the transactions and investigate, but the fear and helplessness didn't dissipate. As I hung up, I realized that my mind had been racing ahead, imagining worst-case scenarios. Eviction notices, inability to pay my mother's bills, and the shame of having to ask for help from friends and family. After a few deep breaths, I decided to approach the situation methodically. I began listing every expense, every recent payment, every subscription, and slowly, painfully, I started to recognize patterns. A forgotten automatic payment here, a recurring subscription I had overlooked, a late fee I hadn't accounted for. Small amounts that added up in ways that had gone unnoticed. It was a painful realization that sometimes, mistakes accumulate quietly, and the consequences only hit when you least expect them. I also discovered that part of the confusion had been caused by a bank error, a double charge on a payment that had been corrected after my call. The combination of my oversight and the bank's mistake had created a moment of sheer panic, but it was also a wake-up call. I wiped my tears and started making a plan, creating a more detailed budget, setting up alerts for every withdrawal, and taking control of the situation before it spiraled again. By midday, I had restored a sense of order, though the emotional impact lingered. That morning taught me a profound lesson about responsibility, self-awareness, and the importance of staying calm in the face of fear. It also reminded me that sometimes, what feels like disaster is simply an opportunity to correct course and build stronger habits. Later that evening, I reflected on how fragile our sense of security can feel and how easily it can be shaken by small, seemingly insignificant details. I also realized the power of perspective, that panic often magnifies problems beyond their actual scale, and that taking a step back allows clarity to emerge. By the end of the day, the tears had dried, my hands had steadied, and I felt a renewed sense of determination. I knew that I would never take my financial security for granted again, and that the experience, painful as it was, had made me wiser, more vigilant, and more capable of facing the uncertainties of life. That morning, when I opened my banking app with trembling hands and cried, I didn't just see numbers on a screen. I saw the responsibility I carried, the resilience I needed to develop, and the courage it takes to confront fear, one step at a time.